Guys, how we doing? Happy Christmas to everybody, belated, or rather, happy Christmas. If you're got any plans, you're coming to the UK, come down and maybe visit me. If you are in America, I don't know what they call it. Do they call it? I don't know if they call it Happy Christmas. I know you have Thanksgiving, which was a month or so ago, 2 months ago, I don't exactly know. Who we got here? Eric, great to see you. Sean, good evening. And Dwight, great to see you. Eric asked me, have you heard Get Your Lies Straight by Terry Evans and Cooder? That's what your playing reminds me of. Oh, thank you so much. Well, Eric, are you referring to... I mean, I've seen Cooder just playing guitar, backing up Terry Evans. There's some really great YouTube clips of him. He's just pretty much playing some very amazing sort of supportive sort of guitar styles, you know. Merry Christmas, Dwight. Merry Christmas, Jonanda Carpenter. Very, very kind of you to say so. I haven't done this for a while actually, so I'm a little bit rusty. But I thought I'd put a few little headings. We've got Cooder, so Cooder. We've got Jimi Hendrix, and we've got SRV. And we're going to talk about using scales as well. So I'm going to go through how I use two particular scales, which you may or may not be familiar with. It's a harmonic minor scale and melodic minor scale. And we're just going to touch on that at the end of this sort of hour. But let's start off with some Cooder. What's really been... Oh, Joyous Fetis, Ramon. Thank you very much. Ninja. So thank you. Yeah, what I thought would be really nice is one thing that I love about Cooder, and this is going to be the theme of today's guitar show live. It's all about rhythm, because rhythm is really my main thing when I'm playing an instrument. I'm terrible at drums. I'm actually really rubbish at playing the drums. I love to play drums and percussion, but I'm a little bit lazy and it requires quite a bit of an effort, and I can't keep up with the groove. But on guitar, I really try to nail that kind of groove. So the kind of a groove that I was doing there. It might be something else. It might be something like slightly different, but it's almost like you're playing kind of. We've got a kind of dumble sort of tone here, but on the overdrive. But it's kind of like you're thinking a lot of a kick and a snare and a hi-hat, and you're trying to. That's what I'm trying to replicate when I'm playing this style. So I'm just going to mute the strings, literally. And the way I'm doing that is really with my thumb. I'm smacking the strings, flicking the strings with my nails, but also plucking as well. So another technique is you can use these. This is like my secret that I kind of discovered. I was trying to learn some mariachi, South American, because my father's from Argentina, God rest his soul, and I was trying to learn some of the kind of cumbia, no, not cumbia, some of the sort of pampas style mariachi and South American rhythm patterns. And then I just came across this kind of using my second and third fingers. And you can sometimes bring in your first finger, but you're using your third finger if you play piano, or your second finger if you play guitar, and your ring finger. We call it third finger on guitar. And it actually gives you a stronger flick, those two fingers. And then you kind of you've got some licks you can... so on and so forth. So you can kind of keep that kind of groove going, and then you can bring in some licks and whatever, and then you can, but if you've got that basis of that groove, and even when you're not playing, you're feeling... You kind of... and you're kind of playing that on the slide. So kind of like it's really good to get that kind of like New Orleansy. I can't do it with my mouth, but you know what I mean. That kind of syncopated 16s, whatever thing happening, and that's what I try and do when I'm playing slide. So even if I'm, if I'm trying to get into that Cooder kind of thing, that's what I've really. Yeah, it's like a shuffle, a 12/8, and you can hear it when he's doing what was it? Every woman I know crazy about automobile. Getting key. Every woman I know crazy about automobile. But here I am standing with nothing but a rubber heel. You can hear him kind of, nothing but an automobile, all those kind of sort of tunes. you can hear Ry Cooder's got that kind of shuffle thing, and as Eric was saying, Stompbox Chris, hello, how's it going? And happy Christmas, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Even our Muslim and Jewish friends and atheists, everybody, Buddhists and Hindus, whatever kind of thing you go for, Merry Christmas. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to play some ballad. Also, another thing is really nice to play slide, because there's two kind of guitars you can play slide on. There's a Les Paul, which has got a short scale, and there's obviously the Telecaster and Stratocaster, which is a slightly longer scale. Got a bit of a curvature on the neck, you see. With this especially, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a real curve there. So it's obviously a little bit harder when you're playing the slide, because you're angling it a little bit. Obviously you can flatten it off here, but it's actually nice having that curvature. It makes you play single note lines really beautifully, and also with a longer scale, I think it's more accurate in a way. It's actually easier, in my opinion, to play slide on a Les Paul or an SG. SG is the easiest guitar to play slide on. It's easy. Les Paul's a little bit harder because you haven't got, you've got the wood there and it's a little bit heavier. I think a Telecaster and a Strat is harder. It's a harder thing to play slide on. You've got to be kind of careful that, just the pickups and the glass, it can hurt your ears. It could be too, so it's kind of like, you've got to work a little bit harder on a Telecaster or a Strat. That's what I've kind of come to the conclusion. But the rewards are greater because you've got that. For me, you've got more harmonics, That's probably a bit of a stupid statement. More harmonics. How can you have more harmonics? Okay, so I'll take that back. So it's kind of like it's good to choose. Am I going to play slide on a Les Paul with a shorter scale, or am I going to play it on a Telecaster with a slightly longer scale? And that really makes it a difference when you're doing like a line where you're coming down across 4 different notes. Then you have to really know where you have to practice, where your frets are. So it's good to stick, now I just play slide. Now I play slide on a Tele and a Strat because it's the same scale length. I don't play it anymore on a Les Paul or SG, just because I want to get kind of used to the Tele and the Strat scale length and the vibe of those guitars. And I think if I go to an SG and a Les Paul, it's quite easy. It's a lot easier. And then when I come back to a Tele and a Strat, I really struggle to play slide on those instruments. So I kind of just stick now to the Telecaster and the Strat for playing slide. And I think it's a good thing. You just develop a sound. But that's what I kind of like probably about this whole kind of quirky Gulf foil things. You can just get that real great. These are actually out of phase. So if you were doing something like, you can get these really nice sort of. Sound like a Strat, and SG sound like a Tele. Sometimes it's hard to hear, but just for your own playing, your fingers, something to get used to the high action. These are flat wounds. The action's quite high. It's 12s on here. So I practice. detuning. So what I'll do is I'll just go through, and I think this is what Ry Cooder did, you know, because he genuinely plays. He plays standard G and also D. And we're going to remember Ry Cooder plays banjo. So he learned a lot of these banjo chords and then just transferred them to the detuning guitar. But he's also amazing at detuning. And what Ry Cooder tends to do, I've been a bit lazy over the last few years sort of studying Ry Cooder, and I should really get back to studying and doing some lessons for you good folk. But what I really like, some real simple stuff like, you know, you got your, my friend who normally tunes his guitar, he couldn't make it tonight, so that's why it's a little bit out of tune, so apologies. But yeah, basically, Ry Cooder uses something really simple. You got this shape here on the 5th fret and on the 7th fret. The intonation is probably all out on this, but anyway, you'll get the idea. It's basically something really simple. So, this is the 4 chord, you know, if we're doing the subdominant 4. Change to this. You got that kind of Hendrixy, but you got that. So there, it's a slightly different pattern. But here, you can kind of, if that's your root chord, we go to the 4 chord. Those things are in a minute. So there you got you on your 5 chord and your. Don't know if you can see this. So you got that. You know, so it's really simple stuff that Ry Cooder does, but it sounds so beautiful. Like. These are 2 double stops here. You can use your little pinky. But I mean, obviously, if you're wearing a slide, depends on, you know, Ry Cooder wears it on his 4th finger, so that enables him to kind of. On your 3rd finger, like I've been doing for quite a while now, tend to use your little finger and your 2nd finger to get those double stops. Oh, sorry. So, you know, hopefully that gives you guys a few ideas about using detuning, you know. Then you can learn your patterns. You got another pattern here. Oh. You know, so you got, you know, if you can learn those patterns across the neck, and then use those double stops, and then you got the 6, obviously. No, it's not hard. It's you know, it's not rocket science. It's, you know, it's deep major tuning. You know what I mean? You know. So yeah, there you go. So Eric says, I don't know about you, Ramon, but I feel Fenders have more subtlety and depth to their character compared to Gibsons because there is a wider scope on a Fender. You can much easily recognise the player. Yeah, that is very true. You know, David Gilmour plays the Strat. We're going to come on to the Strats in a minute. Lowell George is a monster. He was the man. He was little feet, incredible, beautiful. You know, there's a lot of guys showboat on slide, but what I like, because I'm from the old school Mississippi. I'm not from Mississippi. I'm from Essex in England, but I'm into the old school Delta blues guys. You know, where you'd have like a melody. and that's where and Blind Blake and all those guys. And so for me, it's about playing a song, and I really feel Lowell George could you give him a guitar, he'd be sliding, playing chords like Ry Cooder, those kind of guys, and singing a song, and you only need the electric guitar and your voice, and you've got the whole thing there. So what I really like to do is follow those kind of players. Don't get me wrong, Derek Trucks is a monster player. Derek Trucks is the king. He is a king. There's no other king other than Derek Trucks. But it's not somebody I listen to. I honestly, this is hand and heart, and this is no disrespect to Derek Trucks, because he is an incredible virtuoso. But I've never listened to any of his music, just because it's kind of not my vibe. But that's not to say it's not amazing, and people will love it for different reasons. But me, I kind of like the more old school sort of guys like Ry Cooder, Lowell Fulson, those kind of guys, But I think it's really good to study. If you want to study Derek Trucks, it's an amazing guy to get into. He plays amazingly well, and you can't go wrong. Listen to Derek Trucks, you're going to get loads of licks and loads of tricks from him, But for me, I want a guy that's I love that kind of real sort of simple stuff, but just real groovy, A bit like R.L. Burnside, Mississippi John Hurt, and hi Maurice, hi, how's it going? And you're in okay, Dwight Bailey is actually in Mississippi. He's in the birthplace of the blues, and it's the Mecca. It's like in the Islamic world. Mecca is the place to make your pilgrimage. For me, it's as well Mississippi, because for the blues, I think you got to go and do the the Clarksdale trip and see where Muddy Waters and Mississippi John Hurt, all these amazing incredible legends of blues guitar who don't really get enough recognition, nowadays, and you think that all modern music is based on a lot of those guys, music. I know they were influenced by the people before them, but it's a shame that they kind of a lot of them have disappeared. But it's really great that a lot of the great thing about blues, blues music is that it keeps all that stuff alive. Like jazz, jazz and blues, it's really really good. So yeah. So we're talking about Ry Cooder first, and let's talk about some technical gear-related gear stuff, because we love talking about equipment. So this is guitar here. This is my main slide guitar now. It's been my main guitar. This interesting thing, it's got a curve in the neck, so it's got a bit of a radius. It's also got 6100 fretwire. That's something to think about, guys. Because when I have a slide guitar, I want to play. I don't want to just play it, with a slide. I want to play it as well without a slide, so I can get some really cool sort of. Whoops, let me just do this. kind of like in a normal fashion, not just slide. So that's why you've got to get the action just right on these sort of things. So let's have a look. Don't know if you can see this. Probably, I don't know if this is going to be good enough quality. It's you know, so I'll have to measure it for you, but it's a real personal thing, the action on a slide guitar. You need to be able to, it depends on your technique, because your technique changes all the time. So sometimes when I'm not practicing slide guitar, I need the action to be higher, so I can get a nice clean. You know, you need, so it's kind of, you're riding that action. I change it a lot, you know. If my slide guitar playing goes downhill, then I want to bring the action higher. Okay, and if I'm really on it, if I'm really, you know, my intonation's great and it's happening. Not, at the moment, I'm a little bit rusty. I'm quite rusty actually. So I've brought the action a little bit higher. But there's always a trade-off, because you want to play, you know, if you're playing some single note stuff, then you know, you want to be able to bend, you know. You know, so that's the kind of trade-off, is being able to do single note stuff and slide all both together at the same time. So, you know, that's only it's only like you can know that. Only you can know what is the height. But I guess it's good to know what I'm using. I will measure that. It's not super high, but it's not. It's probably a lot higher than Derek Trucks. I'm guessing Derek Trucks, who's playing an SG, has a very low action. He's got. Bear in mind, I'm tuned down to D, so I'm using 12s down to D, so they're quite a little bit flappy. He's using 11s tuned up to an E, so they're going to be quite tight. Therefore, he can actually have a lower action. So Derek Trucks can have a lower action on his strings, and you can see that because he wants to play like a normal guitar, you know. So that's the reason for him having, you know, low action. Okay, so let's read some comments here. Sound Carnival says, "Do you have any tips for playing slide and standard tuning? Sometimes it's nice to use a slide to create drones with a heavy reverb to back up yourself." Yeah, let me show you. Okay, how high? Well, like I said, I don't really know, but it's not super high, but it's not super low. It's got an action. It's got an action. If that makes sense. So let's play slide. Should we play slide? Let's play slide on my SG. Okay, so we're here with the SG guitar. This SG guitar is a little bit different from a lot of SGs because it's got a huge neck. The neck is just it's like a baseball bat, and also the nut width is much bigger than the Gibson. Not much bigger, but it's like a millimeter. So it doesn't really feel like a normal SG. But actually, that's kind of cool for slide, you know. So this is standard tuning, yeah. So we're in standard tuning. So if I'm going to play slide, normally what I'll do is I'll roll off a little bit of the tone and a bit of the volume. So let's see how we go. So before I do this, Eric says Ramon Trucks is a real deal. He's one of the greats, but sadly has lots of imitators that don't understand the blues or history. Yeah, well, like I said, Derek Trucks is amazing. You know, I mean, it's not somebody I listen to personally because I'm more kind of old school blues, and the stuff he does is incredible. But you know, it's great. I mean, it's like it's you know, the guy's the number one. You know, so. But let me just show you this. So Mick Taylor is someone who is a big influence on me. He did an album called Crusade with John Mayall's Blues Breakers. Obviously, he was in Rolling Stones, and I really love Mick Taylor's work. And he kind of plays. I've done a few videos about this. He'll just play a lick, and then he finishes it with a slide. I mean, it's amazing. You kind of, you know, and you know, so that's kind of like playing slide with standard tuning. So you can use the Mick Taylor method, you know. So Ricardo Lima Pereira, if I said that correctly. If you like Derek, check out the Marcus King band. Yeah, you know what? I did a festival in France, I think earlier this year, and somebody by the name of Marcus King was there with his band. They were a little bit funky, you know. They had a big horn section. I stood round for the sound check, and then I couldn't catch the show because we had to take off to another gig. But great band, amazing, really tight, great pro horn section, and the band was cooking. So yeah, definitely check out Marcus King. Yeah, so back to this. You know, when you're playing a really good song to learn, if you want to get into this, I don't know if you know. You guys can tell me because I don't know this. Did Dwayne Allman play slide on standard tuning? Good question, because the song, and I can't remember this, but there's a great song by the Allman Brothers called One Way Out. It's a great song to learn. If you're getting into slide guitar and you want to learn it on a standard tuning on like a Les Paul style, you can't go wrong with One Way Out. It goes, I learned this years ago, so I can't even remember, but it goes... You know, so that's kind of maybe he, you know, maybe Dwayne Allman played it on standard tuning. Who knows, you know? But there's slightly, it's a little bit weirder on the good news on standard tuning is you know where all the notes are, and then you just have to make a few adjustments, like kind of the main thing from Dwayne Allman is. You know, that kind of back flip and then. And you've got the third there. So the only thing you can't, because on a normal D open tuning you have the whole bar that you can come to. But here you have to make an adjustment for the major third. So if you just practice going kind of. You know, so you have to make a few adjustments for standard tuning, you know. But yeah, it's great. Yeah, it could be that it's in standard tuning One Way Out. You know, it's something you'd be. And I'm sure there's some guy that's done an amazing transcription on YouTube, and he'll probably tell you exactly what Dwayne Allman played. You know, but you know, I think you just listen to it, and then you know what, this is the difference between older players and younger players now is that with young players they know exactly how that person played that thing because someone's done a great lesson on it. Whereas before, you know, in my time when I was 17 growing up, listening to music, there wasn't YouTube and all that stuff. You just listen by ear, and you get it wrong. It's like the famous thing would be Jimmy Page. You know, you'd always think, oh, that's how Jimmy Page did it, and then you realise he played it completely different when you actually saw him in concert. You know? So, but you working out your own way is kind of cool because you get to learn the guitar more. I think you kind of work out your own style more. So I think there's a lot to be said by working stuff out by ear, not really knowing how the original guy did it, you know, because you're naturally going to come up with your own way, you know. So I think there's nothing wrong with, you know, not playing exactly how, you know, Dwayne Allman did it, you know. But yeah, so that's really the thing with the slide guitar and Cooder. I think if you're going to use standard tuning, which is, you know, there's nothing wrong. There's one guy I knew here in London, brilliant guitarist. He had his whole career as a slide player on standard tuning, you know, and you just work out, you know, you have to make a few adjustments on slide. Obviously, slide tuning, you do it all on one fret, but you're just gonna have to make some, you know. So there's pros and cons to each method, but it's whatever works. There's no rules, you know. You can do whatever you want. you might be the best standard tuning slide guitarist in the world. You know, that might be your thing, and you know, you don't have to be in an open tuning to you know, there is no rules. You know. So anyway, let's go back to the slide guitar. So it's always fun to play an SG. SGs, we love SG guitars on this channel. So where are we? Let's read some comments. So Stompbox Chris says, my favourite slide song that's his favourite slide song, yeah, brilliant. And Little Feat's Willing. Okay, fantastic, great choices there. Ricardo says, Ramon, what's your favourite guitar to play slide on? Yeah, this one. This is my favourite guitar. I love this, just because of the clean sound, you know. This is in the middle. I got this in the middle sound, and they're slightly out of phase, but. So it's just got really nice, you know, get used to one guitar to play slide. Don't play slide on 5 guitars, you know. Play on an acoustic and then have your electric 4 slide. I think Lowell George, sorry, had his Strat, right? And Derek Trucks has his SG, you know. And you know, Cooder has his Stratocaster, Coodercaster. So I thought I'd do a Telecaster. You know, I thought find a little niche here, and you know, this is with a maple neck, and you know, this Telecaster kind of it's become my thing. Although I did copy Cooder and Blake Mills and probably everyone else, you know. But you know, this is you know, you find one instrument and just play slide on that. Get to know it. Get to know the scale length. Get to know the feel of it. You know, there's lots of things to discover on one instrument. If you're going to keep changing your instrument all the time, you're never going to. You know, it's going to be harder to progress. You know, I mean, like I said, playing slide on an SG is quite easy. It's very if you're a beginner learning slide guitar, get an SG. Just get an SG. It's a shorter scale length. The shorter scale length makes it easier to play slide. It's more forgiving. I think you know, kind of. I know on a shorter scale length, you'd think that intonation would be harder, but it's not. It's the opposite. It's actually harder to intonate. For me anyway, a Telecaster and a Strat, but just because they're really in your face, it's very brittle, sort of almost harsh sound sometimes. Whereas an SG is more mellow, you can mellow it out, you can use overdrive, and you know, it's a lot. If you're starting out on slide, just get yourself an SG. Do yourself a favour, you know. Right, here we go. Mark Effects says, I find Sonny Landreth a unique slide player, more progressive. Yeah, I mean, I don't do, a lot of people like to do the Sonny Landreth behind the fret thing. I don't do that actually myself, really, not really. The only kind of behind the thing I do is I use, well, I'm using my first finger to come back on, you know. You know, I don't use it as a sort of underneath the slide. I feel that's Sonny Landreth's thing, you know, and everyone's free to go and copy him. You know, he'd probably be more than happy that you've, you know, been influenced by him. But for me, that's kind of so Sonny Landreth that I don't want to, you know, I don't want to take that and bring it into my own playing, because that's his whole sound. That is, you know, that's what Sonny Landreth does. So I don't want to go and hijack his sound and start playing high. You know, it's so identifiably his. Whereas Cooder, for me, his style is much more of a delta stand-in. It could be anybody. Sonny Landreth is so distinctive that you hear, you know, literally that one, he's one riff, which I think it's that kind of, you know, Sonny Landreth, come on, and if anyone else does it, it's like, yeah, you're copying Sonny Landreth, you know. So, but yeah, he's amazing, yeah. Mark also says Warren Hayes uses standing tuning a lot in his slide playing. Well, I've got to say, Warren Hayes is one of my favourite guitar players. Not least for his slide playing. He's an amazing slide player, and he's a beautiful guitar player, and he's a great songwriter. This is the thing. Okay, I'm gonna tell you here because Derek Trucks, in my opinion, doesn't really write songs. He's a great slide guitarist, but what song has he written? Is it Soul Sacrifice? But wasn't that a Santana song? I don't know. Warren Hayes can write a song. He's one of my favourite songs from anybody is a song called Slack Jaw Jezebel. Amazing song. He plays it on a beautiful Firebird cap on the second fret. I can't remember what the chords are, but check that song out by Warren Hayes. Slack Jaw Jezebel. Incredible songwriter. Really good. Great singer. Really soulful voice. Great guitar player. Great slide player. And great songwriter. A lot of guitar players can't write songs, but Warren Hayes, he can really write songs. Okay, so let's have a look here. Ramon, what's your favourite guitar? Okay, we've done that one. Sound Carnival says, can you talk about which radius you prefer to use for guitars that you use for both slide and fingerwork? Well, this is the thing. When I was started out playing slide guitar, I thought, okay, let's play it on an SG or a Les Paul because that's what Dwayne Norman did. So we need to do that. But then when I got into more Cooder, you got the thing with the Strat, which is a 60s Strat that I had, a reissue, I think it was a 12-inch, is that right? 10-inch, between 10 and 12-inch radius. I can't remember exactly what it was. But actually now I'm actually more 9-inch. I actually do like a curvature. I don't know what it is. Again, because you can actually level off the action anyway with your here, but I've actually got a curve. You can see there. I don't know if you can see that. I've actually got a curve on those saddles anyway. I like a bit of curvature. It's kind of cool. So I hope that answers that question. Ricardo says as well, one of my favourite slide tunes is Clapton's cover of "It Hurts Me Too," and I think that is in standard tuning. Yeah. Okay. Is that off the Cradle album? If I remember rightly. Eric says, have you heard Peter Green's slide playing on Do You Give a Damn For Me? Very powerful. And you can hear Booker White's influence, especially with the slapping strings, Booker White style. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Booker White had that whole... If I can do that. It was like the Mark King level 42 stuff. But that... White, yeah, on his National Resonator, yeah. Actually, both. I think Danny Kerwin played slide. I know Jeremy Spencer did. I think all three of the Fleetwood Mac guitarists played slide. But Peter Green, he played some really nice open G, if I'm right, open G stuff. I think he did. Not sure. You can tell me. Ricardo says, I think my favourite slide players are Joey Landreth and Ario Pussin. Do you like their work? I don't really know too much about him. I don't want to say Joey Landreth. Yeah, I've heard of him. And somebody did play me one of his songs, I think, and I thought it was very, very good. And Ario Posson, I've heard some great guitar. I think he was demoing a guitar or something. He was a really good guitar player. But I thought his songs were a little bit too poppy for my tastes. I'm a bit more rootsy myself, into more rootsy sort of stuff. Joey Landreth, Ariel Person, yeah. I mean, I've heard the names thrown around. I need to check them out more, but maybe I think Ariel Person was definitely kind of more the John Mayer poppy thing. I think he was going for that. That's what I thought. That's what I kind of saw. I might be wrong here, but yeah, both great guitar players. I mean, if you can check them out, you're going to get some great stuff from them. They're really, they're classy players. Ricardo says of the modern era, that is, yeah, they're modern, yeah, and they're young guys. They're millennials, and we've got to encourage the youth, man, to get out there and do it. I guess I'm more, for me, it's like what hit me when I was like 17, 18, 19 is still what I listen to now. That's still, like when I heard Cooder, when I got into Cooder, that became my whole world. That was the world of slide. For me, if you watch, there's great concerts. There's a few good concerts, live concerts of Cooder, and when he plays a ballad on the slide guitar, Man, I haven't heard anything to touch Cooder playing a ballad. It's spine tingling. It's you know, like I said, I've great young players doing some great stuff, but Cooder he just gets that vibe, that those nuances. This kind of I can't do it. I can't even play style. I can't do it because I've got my own style and I can't play like Cooder, but got a bit of influence by him, but he's just someone that can get to that place, that emotion with the slide that I haven't heard anyone else, young, old, whatever. It's Cooder for me. But that's just me personally. Maybe he touches me in a way that and maybe you are touched by other players. That's how we're all different. But also I like really rough players like Tampa Red, and I like I like Sunhouse. I like Sunhouse technique. It's wacky, crazy. It should be awful, but it's not. It's like spooky. It's when he came back and did those revival shows in the 60s. I mean, it was like a man possessed. It was like he conjured up the devil because I think he was a minister, Sunhouse, and he was a minister and he conjured up the Satan, and he was a man possessed, man. It was scary, very intense. So I'm into guys like that, and Charlie Patton, got some great recordings by Chat. They're very grainy, but they're great, amazing recordings, and of course Robert Johnson. Those guys, that's a spooky kind of slide thing that that's for me. That's the slide thing I like, And Cooder kind of got that, and he brings that into the music. A little bit rough, a few mistakes, doesn't matter, but it's a vibe, When you polish off all the rough edges and the mistakes, then you lose. It's more clinical. It's more like a well-trained muscle that's just it's always the same every time. It's perfect. Whereas Cooder is not quite 100% perfect, but that's what makes it good. For me anyway. Right. What about the Teskay Brothers? Haven't heard of them. I'm going to check them out, Ricardo. They sound good. Just the name sounds good. Paris, Texas, Eric says. Blues ballads at their best. Cooder is master. Yeah, so listen to Paris, Texas. I mean, if you're saying, Paris, Texas, play that to somebody who doesn't like guitar, okay? Play that to your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever. Play that song. And they're going to like it. They're going to love that song. That is Paris, Texas, the theme tune to the Wenders, I think, film. You play that song, everybody, it's very emotive, and that's what the slide can do. The slide can do some amazing things, Okay, so Hugh Cabell says, Blind Willie McTell, Mama Tain't Long for Full Day is great. Yeah, well, Blind Willie McTell, he was a big influence on the Allman Brothers, I think, and Statesboro Blues was one of his famous songs, I think, yeah. Mark, I love the song Dragonfly from Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, Dragonfly, yeah, that's a really, really nice tune. That's if I remember rightly, that's a Danny Kerwin song, that is. Yes, oh, my friend Zane Dark Angel, he's a very special friend of mine. So I want everyone to say hello to Zane Dark Angel, and thank you for joining us. She is most welcome here. I didn't think she was going to turn up. I didn't think she was interested in guitars, but here she is. So welcome, Zane Dark Angel. Right, yeah. So let's move on to the Stratocaster now. Stratocaster. I'm not from America, So let's move on to this. If I just get this. Because now we're going to talk about Jimi Hendrix. And we're going to talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan. Let's talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan first. Okay, so we're in tune, thank God. Because my friend that normally tunes his guitar, he couldn't make it tonight, so there we go. Right, here we go. Yeah, so we're gonna move now from Cooder to Hendrix. We're going to keep this moving. This is the Xmas edition of the Guitar Show Live. Thank you everybody for joining us. It's amazing to have you. The tuning of the guitar, yeah. And yeah, it's amazing to have everyone here. Thank you. I hope you're going to have an amazing Christmas and New Year, and I hope you're going to have some really nice food. You know, here in England, we have the turkey, and we have the Brussels sprouts, and the Yorkshire puddings, which is my favourite, and we have the stuffing, which is also, I love the stuffing as well. That's nice, and the gravy and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So here we go. We're gonna do some Stevie Ray Vaughan first, and then Hendrixy sort of thing. So Stevie Ray Vaughan, what's my, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan. One of the first vinyl albums I bought ever was the vinyl edition of Texas Flood. Okay, and the first thing I heard was this. I think I must have put it on the wrong side, because I think this is, I can't remember if this is the A side of the vinyl or the B side. But anyway, this is the first thing I heard. I don't know if this, you're going to hear this okay, but this is the first thing I heard on Texas Flood. Okay, here we go. So what I was really doing now, I mean, I need to warm up, but basically rhythm. I was hearing his groove and I was hearing his rhythm. Okay, so that's really what I was. That kind of so just like on the slide guitar when we started off, we had the kind of right hand groove, and with Stevie Ray Vaughan it was that. Then you can start playing the lead guitar stuff after that. But if you've got the groove, that same groove is then going to be in your lead playing, you know. So then you can solo. So when you come to soloing, you got that kind of that rhythm, the groove going across your soloing. You know, you're not dropping because you've got that. You know, that's what should be going kind of through your body, your mind, your hands. That's the groove that you need when you're. You know, that's the kind of vibe. So that's really where I came from when I first heard Stevie Ray Vaughan. That was the number one thing I wanted to get into my playing, was the kind of the groove. You know, how was he doing that? That kind of groove playing. And I never really learnt. I wasn't a great learner of his songs. You know, I didn't learn it note for note. Wasn't really interested in that. That wasn't my game plan. My game plan was to get his, you know, it's on my Buddy Guy song, Mary Had a Little Lamb. You know, so that was, you know, just the rhythm. He's great kind of funk. You know, everything he played had kind of a funk to it, you know. So John Andy Carper says SRV played Slide. I think it was called "Give Me Back My Wig." It was. I actually did a cover of that song on an album in 2012. It's a great song. I think it's. Give me back my wig. Yeah, it's a great song that is. Yeah, and he did. His slide playing was pretty good actually. It was not bad, you know. Live at El Macombo is a quintessential Stevie Ray Vaughan show for me. Yes, absolutely. Biba Costa says. And Clatu Baranikito says, hi, I'm from Brazil. Congrats for a great SRV session. Thank you. I want to say, what's the Brazilian for thank you? It's obrigado. Obrigado. So, thank you. I think that's right. Yes, it was a cover. Yeah, it was a cover. Yeah. So there you go. You know, Stevie Ray Vaughan. If another great tune that you want to check out with Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, I'm playing, like I said, I haven't done Stevie Ray Vaughan for about 3 months now. It's the first time I played Stevie Ray Vaughan for 3 months, but hopefully I can get this. This is where we're going to time with Hendrix. Is Voodoo Child, you know. So if you listen to, I haven't got a wah wah pedal, but you'll get the sort of vibe of it. As well, he's got big strings, and that really helps when you're kind of coming off of those big bass notes. We're 11s in E, so we're not going to get the same effect. But so it's just that having that groove and really, think about the rhythm of that. Yeah, but kind of that sort of groove where you got that. So there you go. You're getting a little motif, and I used to play that for hours. I used to remember when I was like 19 years old, I would just be like jamming off that. Just do that for 1 hour. Get into find out all the little riffs you can stick in there with that. Yeah, so let's read some comments. Hugh Cadwell says, Stevie's right hand never stops. That is why his playing is so fluid. Hendrix is the same. Rhythm and lead at the same time. Yeah, absolutely. Clatu says, thanks, yeah, pleasure. Sean says, Gatemouth Brown. Yes, what a Clarence Gatemouth Brown, who also played violin in a real kind of amazing style. He played he was an incredible guitar player. He played some really ripping, fast stuff, you know. Biba Costa says, you sound great, brother. Great time and tone. God bless and Merry Christmas. Same to you. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Very kind words. Great grooves as well. Thank you very much. He is on fire at that show. Yes, he was on fire. He was amazing. You know, my combo was the pinnacle. Was the top really. He had to be. You know, he was playing for his whole career. You know, he didn't have to try that hard. After that, you know, when he got the gigs, he got the tour, he got the record deal, he could relax. You know, but Mel McCombo was all like, you know, he was on the rise, so he had to really play his arse off. You know? Yeah. So Ricardo actually says a really good point. Do you consciously think about where your right hand stands when playing? Mine gravitates towards the neck. I always play on top of the neck pickup for some reason. No, that's nothing wrong. You know, we all have our own ways of playing. You know, like Wes Montgomery played with a thumb because he didn't want to wake up his. You know, he had something like 8 children. He didn't want to wake them up. So you know, everything was. You know, everything was off of the thumb. But you know, it's up to you. If you're playing a ballad, you know, you might want to come over here. Sorry, we're going to get in tune tonight, I promise. So if you're playing like a... One moment, guys. Let me just do this. Oh yeah, here we go. We've got to tune it because I'm just not good enough to tune the guitar by ear. So here we go. Hopefully that's going to... So if you're playing like a... When I'm playing with the vibrato with my little finger, my plectrum is naturally... If you do some Jimi Hendrix... You might want to play, you know, on the neck, and obviously if you're going to do something like Rude Mood, you know, if you want to play here because it's going to be tighter, the strings are tighter, so you're going to get much more, you know, it's going to be more accurate, so that's, you really want to be down here. So it just depends, you know, it's no shame to move it, but the main thing is just to have, you know, just to practice. You know, what I practice all the time is my rhythm. You know, my rhythm is my main thing. If I don't care about my lead guitar playing, that comes and goes, it changes in the winter, in the summer, and faster. It doesn't matter. I don't care about my lead guitar, what my left hand does. It's not important. You know, if something happens to my left hand, as long as I've got one finger, I can use a slide or be like Keith Richards, you know. But my main thing is my right hand, and that's really, I don't want to lose that groove. That. So, you know, you could be like a really great style to play is funk music, you know. And just remember, like Jimi Hendrix with Curtis Knight and the have I got that right? And the Flames, or whatever they're called. You know, he was an R&B funk player, you know. So when I first started playing guitar, I just played funk music, you know. And then you can like make it faster. You can go faster. What I'm saying is I've spent a long time on my right hand. I spent more time on my right hand than my left hand. That's why I never really cared about getting the notes right with my left hand. It was more about getting the groove right with my right hand. That's kind of the player I am. So, you know, something like Stevie Ray Vaughan. You know, I was more interested in his groove. I used to listen a lot to his... playing around with the rhythms and the grooves is much more sort of what I've always been about, you know. Okay, so let's go to the comments. Ramon, this is from JL Trem. Ramon, show how you play octaves a la West Montgomery. I can never do it right. Okay, so there's two ways of doing. There's two ways of playing octaves, and neither are wrong and neither are right. You can use a plectrum. Okay, I don't use a plectrum for playing octaves, and there's a traditional reason why. I think if you're going to play octaves, it's like Sonny Landreth playing behind the slide. You know, that's Sonny Landreth. If you're playing behind the slide, I don't care who you are. You're playing Sonny Landreth. As soon as in my brain it says Sonny Landreth, you know. And if you're playing octaves, okay, in my brain it's like, oh, Wes Montgomery, because he made it his own, you know. I don't know if he invented it, but he certainly made it his own. So for me, I copied Wes Montgomery's technique. Well, I thought it. Maybe I haven't got it right, completely right, but this is how I do it. I think Wes Montgomery uses his first and third finger, and maybe then swaps to his fourth finger. I don't do that. I keep it very, very simple. I use my thumb on this hand, and then I use these two fingers, rock and roll, on this hand, yeah? So I only got three. The less my brain has to think about, you know, if I'm from Essex in England, we're not very clever people, you know. The less my brain has to think about, the better. So I only use these fingers to play octaves, okay? So I'm here. I know you can do it that way, but this is the way I do it. There's a A, there's an A. There's a D, there's a D, there's a G, there's a G, there's a C, and there's a C. And what I do is I look, this is the strange bit. This is the bit where I confuse myself always, and I've never worked out quite why I do this. But I can, through my mistakes, I can tell you how to do it properly. So what I do is, when I'm on these two strings with my first finger, I look at my first finger. But when I'm here with my pinky, I look at my pinky and not my first finger. I don't know why I do that. I should just look at my pinky for them. So actually, in fact, you should do this. Just look at if you're using your first finger and your pinky, just look at your pinky. Don't look at your first finger. Just program that to follow on the octaves. So what I like to do is do kind of that sort of. That's the West Montgomery line. You know, your really nice song, Pan Martino, Sunny. You know. Yeah. So basically, yeah, right hand. Thank you very much, Bieber Custer. That's so kind of you to say. So this is what I'm telling you guys. I'm not here ranting and raving for nothing. You know, I'm saying and I don't know if I don't do lessons. Maybe I'll do lessons in the future. I don't really do lessons. But it's all about your right hand, unless you're left-handed. Then it's about your left hand, like Jimi Hendrix. But it's about that rhythm, the rhythm hand, the right hand for me. That's what I put all my focus into. That was, you know, when I let me take a sip of this tea. It's a great cup of English tea there. So I would literally, you know, mute the strings, and I've said this countless times on my channel. Just mute your strings like that, and then be a drum kit, you know. You've got to find your groove. That's my groove, but I don't know what your groove. You might have a different groove, but so when you bring some chords into that, you don't have to worry about your right hand. You've already taught your right hand how to play rhythm. You know, you spent hours. Otherwise, you're having to work out your rhythm and your chords at the same time, which is a lot harder, yeah? A lot harder, guys. So try to just, split it up, Learn your chords, or whatever. I'm pretty basic when it comes to my chords, but just practice that. Tap your foot as well. You can't see my foot, but it's tapping. You should be doing that first. I used to do that when I had time. When you're young, you have time. When you get to my age, when you get over 40, you've got no time. Time just goes. But when I was young and foolish, I had a lot of time on my hands. And I just sit in my bed and just do that. And then you learn all the fancy stuff on your left hand later, but then you're not thinking about your right hand, because when I am teaching great players, my students who are great guitar players, not from me, but they're good players. When I'm teaching them, it's like I'm teaching them the rhythm and the chord, and I'm like, you should have learned that rhythm before. That's a stock rhythm, that you should have collected years ago and have in your soul, in your playing, ingrained in yourself. I shouldn't have to be teaching you that, So that's one thing that's the number one thing in my playing, is the groove, the rhythm. And that's what I heard when I first put on Texas Flood. It was that right hand, that's what Stevie Ray Vaughan did the best. That's the reason he was amazing, was because of his right hand. The left hand was pretty good. Yeah. It's pretty good. Did some pretty cool, things. Did great Albert King licks, first finger bends, all that stuff. Great. But his real magic was in his right hand. That's where the magic. That's what was different between him and Eric Clapton. Eric Clapton was much softer play on the right hand. He wasn't focused on his right hand. Stevie Ray Vaughan was, and that probably came from Hendrix, but Hendrix was a lighter player, much lighter player than Stevie Ray Vaughan. But Hendrix had, amazing song by Jimi Hendrix. Sorry, but Jimi Hendrix had that whole, and obviously Stevie Ray Vaughan had listened to that, copped that, got it into his playing, and then done his Texas. Texas. I've heard Texans are pretty tough guys, and don't want to mess with Texans because they can handle themselves, And so he did the Texas version of that that kind of Hendrix groove, Okay, let's do some. Let's do some comments. Okay, there's something about R&B soul players playing that with that unique rhythm using delay and echo that's so rare to get right. Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Hazel, Ernie Isley did it so well. Yes, Eddie Hazel, we talked about Maggot Brain, amazing player. Yeah, and listen to any of those. The guitar player with James Brown was incredible as well. Can't remember his name, but he was. BV Ninja says, Ramon, you have a very similar right hand. My previous tutor, Tommy F. It is very, very good, my friend. Oh, thank you. Hey, namaste, which is hello, thank you in Indian, where I've just been. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Tommy F. Tomo F. That's a great player, right? He's a Japanese guy. He's serious. So, wow, hey, I'm honoured. Where are we? Some more comments here. Klaatu says, octave style of West Montgomery. Yes, and George Benson. George Benson, one little trick. So you got, that's 2 notes, West Montgomery. George Benson. So you see, would put 3 fingers. You know, great George Benson player. You know, George Benson's my hero. You know. Hugh Cardwell says you don't do lessons. Amazing lesson right there, right here. Okay, God bless you. God bless you, Hugh. God bless you. You mean Tommy Fujita? Ricardo says from Berkeley. Yeah, that's who I thought. You know, he is a monster guitar player. You know, Tomo's the man. You know, Dwight, good lesson right now. Hey, pleasure, Dwight. Mark Effects says some of the R&B rhythm style that Hendrix used comes from Curtis Mayfield. That's what I was trying to remember. Yeah, Add a Little Wing, Castles Made of Sand. Yeah. I can't remember the rest of it, but yeah, amazing. Yes, Curtis Knight. I thought it was Curtis Knight. He did it, but all those kind of sort of. You know, all those sort of things, and also, I mean, it's just like, you know, getting that right hand working. You know, this is the thing I said to everybody: if you've got the right hand, you've got everything. I always tell the story when I was a young gun trying to guitar slinger. I went into Denmark Street here in London, and there's a lot of session players that come through Denmark Street, you know, from America. You know, they're on tour with big names and that. And I remember this really amazing Nashville country picker, you know, and he was kind of doing, you know, all that kind of crazy Nashville stuff. And the first thing he said to me, he said, "You got the right hand." And I said, "What? What do you mean I've got the right hand? The right hand? You know, the left hand?" He said, No, you got the right hand. That right hand thing, you got it." He goes, "There's 2 types of players. There's guys that can do the right hand, and there's guys that can't." And so that was a massive compliment. Gave me a lot of confidence that somebody, you know, professional player. I was only young at the time. So it kind of made me know that I was on the right track of really putting emphasis on the right hand. You know, and that's the first thing that if I do any teaching, it's always about the right hand. It's all about that, and then bringing that into your playing. Because if you've got the right hand and the rhythm inside you, you're gonna solo. You know, you're gonna bring that groove, that fluidity into your. So that's what I'm saying. You bring that groove, you bring that timing that you've learnt, and we could do some lessons on there. You know, we can go there. Yeah, send me some comments on that if you want me to really go into how I learned to play or the rhythm stuff. I'm happy to tell you everything. It's very simple. Right. Let's do this. Ramon, you should listen to Clapton in the Dominoes. Dominoes live at the Fillmore shows Clapton's power. Some of the bootlegs of Dominoes are incredibly intense. Yeah, I agree. You know, Clapton. You know, Clapton is a very, very good rhythm guitar player. Eric Clapton is he's solid. He's absolutely solid. His time. You know, there's 2 things. You know, with music, it's playing in tune and playing in time. You know, it's pretty simple, really. If you can play in time, you know, if you can sing in tune and you can sing in time, you know. You're laughing, you know. Drummers got it easy because they just have to play in time. They don't have to play in tune. Well, you know, basically, I don't know, you tune your drums up, but they just have to play in time. And some can't even do that, you know. So here we go. Eric says Clapton is vastly more mercurial than SRV. Sorry, I'm from Essex. And Hendrix, he holds back a lot, but when he goes for it, he's 10 to 5. A bit annoying though. Eric Clapton. Why do you think I have this guitar? Why do I have this guitar? 2 reasons, really. Hendrix and Clapton. You know, when I was contemplating learning the guitar, I said to my mum, you know, I want to get a guitar. Who should I listen? Who was the best guitarist? And my mum said, well, Jimi Hendrix was the best, but he's dead. but now living, Eric Clapton is the best. I know that's, when we say electric guitar, we mean this. We don't mean jazz guitar and all the other styles. We mean this. And really, Clapton, he was, Clapton. What Clapton for me? It took me a long time to work out, because a lot of people think, okay, there's the Blues Breakers Clapton, the Cream Clapton, Blind Faith, whatever, and then after that he was rubbish, and that's it. He lost it, and that's a kind of between in the guitarist community. That's something we generally say to each other, and I don't think that's actually really the whole story, really, because what Clapton, if you're going to a stadium show to watch Clapton, the one thing that he can do, even now at his advanced years, is he can just get that. I mean, I can't do it. I can't play like Clapton, but he just gets that bit. It's not my kind of stuff, but. And what's great about it is he's really hitting the note, so he's singing, it's like a violin, and he can still do it, and that's the one thing that Clapton can do a lot better than most. Dave Gilmour actually is a different style, but he's on that same level. He can, it's bending a note in tune, not wavering it around. It's literally Dave Gilmour and Eric Clapton. They bend in tune, and it's boom, it's there, And a lot of players, great players, even find that hard to do. And so that's two things I like about Dave Gilmour. And imagine Dave Gilmour. It's very smooth music. It's very relaxed. He's playing in the Royal Albert Hall, and he's got one bend, and he's got one chance of getting that bend right, And if he gets out of tune, it's like it's a disaster. But those guys, they bend in tune all the time. That's what they do. That's why they're famous, So here we go. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hero said Merry Christmas. So yeah, Merry Christmas, guys. Jay Trem said, Ramon, will you and Bob be doing any guitar showings anytime soon? Really enjoy them. Yes, Jay Trem, we will. Bob and I, in fact, talked about it last week, and Bob will be back in the new year. I think he's pretty busy guy. He's going to be busy with his family. I'm actually going to be away. I'm traveling. I'm going to be traveling somewhere to a different continent soon. But when I come back from that travel, I will. Me and Bob are hooking up, and we are going to do another opening, another sort of guitar case opening thing with some amazing guitars. Let me tell you, it's going to be amazing. Hi, DD Files. Hi, DD Files. How's it going? Ricardo says that Clapton is God. Clapton. He's like Hank Marvin. He's like Eddie Van Halen. He's like Jimi Hendrix. He's one of the icons of our chosen instrument. He's if you're going to be studying art, you're going to be into Raphael and Da Vinci and whatever. And if we on this instrument, it's Clapton and Hendrix and Wes Montgomery and Django Reinhardt. He's just one of the guys that we need to check out. So Eric says, Ramon listened to Eric Clapton live in Chicago, 1985 bootleg. Okay, and Eric Clapton, buddy guy. Yeah, he's better than a Fender and can play crazy. Yeah, and I like that word you use in there. That's brilliant. Clapton is a great player. There's no doubt about it. I'm a big, huge fan. And we cover a lot of Clapton stuff on this album. Hugh says, I can bend in tune but can't shred to save myself. Hugh, shredding, it's nothing. You don't need to shred. It's all about, trust me, the money in the audience is bending in tune. Singing a beautiful note in tune. Violin playing that beautiful note in tune high up. And guitar, it's you playing a melody. That's really what you're going to be doing. If you think about all the guitar instrumentals that have done well, or like Gary Moore, Still Got the Blues, or what's that one? The one he did with Phil Lynott. It's all about bending. Getting that note and bending in tune. That should be two things to practice: timing, right hand, and bending. Just bending up and getting that bend in tune. They're the two most important things, And get your guitar in tune, which I can't seem to do tonight. Right. Hero Glop says, Ramon, would you show your routing cavity for your gold foil in the neck? Yes, I will. how easy is this going to be to do? Probably underneath here is probably horrible. So, do we have some kind of a screwdriver? Yes, we do. It just happens to be there. So, unfortunately, that's not going to work. And I don't have a screwdriver to hand. We're going to do that another time. Hero, I will promise you I will. If I had a screwdriver to hand, I have another one, but I don't think that's going to do. So, oh, wait a minute. Here we go. Yeah, it is. We could do this. We're going to take this off because it's Christmas. We're going to take this off, especially for him. I don't think I've taken this off actually since the bass gallery in Camden put it on. So the bass gallery actually custom cut this scratch plate for me. Because I don't know if you've noticed, it's got but this guitar is really interesting. It's got an extra knob here, and the scratch plate comes around it because I wanted to ride the volume pot with my little finger. So I'm not sure if we can take this off. Let's see what happens. Will it come off? Possibly it won't come off because of the pot, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't want to break the guitar, but oh, there we go. That seems to have done it. So this is quite funny actually, because you can see the scars of the guitar. What happened with this guitar? So what happened was basically this here used to be there in its first incarnation. We tried it there. So it's a big rounding so that we can move it. We can shift it up and down to find the perfect place for it. And just so it happens that where it is now is actually the sweet sound. You know, because you're looking for the harmonics on the string, and then you're sort of moving it up and forth just to catch those. You know, where it really sort of bites and sings. And I don't know if you can see this. If we go really close, you can see the actual cavity there. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's how we do it. So it doesn't look very very nice without the scratch plate, but that's it. There you go. So I'll put that back together later because I don't want to break the wire. Right. I wasn't meaning. Okay, well there you go. Now we did it. Now then, we did it. Okay, so jealous. Haha, good stuff. I'm waiting for the. Okay, somebody's going to see the Tedeschi Trucks band to come back to the UK. Okay, pleasure's mine. Okay, yeah. I mean, you've got some screws there, and you can put some rubber underneath the screws, and then you're basically pushing the pickup down, so you've got to kind of, you know, be a little bit careful with that, you know. So so that's it, guys. If there's any more questions you want to ask me, but we've sort of covered Cooder, Hendrix, and SRV. Oh no, scales. That's it. We're going to do scales. Okay, so hey now, what was it? We're doing in F. I love that Tom Cruise film Rain Man, where it had that. Didn't he? You know, great film, Rain Man. Right, pleasure, Lost Smoke. Somebody said that. Yeah, Lost Smoke said, yeah, it was you. You said, hey now, okay, yeah, which was it a kind of a red, a Native American song? Apologies to any Native Americans. I nearly said something stupid there. but it was a Native American song, I think. Yes, okay, with a Bo Diddley groove. Yeah. Did he do it? I didn't know Bo Diddley did that. I didn't know. Do I play P90s? The answer is no, because I play Diamonds. Diamonds are my favourite pickup, which I can show you right now. Okay, so this is my favourite pickup. This one here. Unfortunately, this guitar was actually with me in India, and the way I got it to India was I took the neck off and put the guitar in the suitcase, which I didn't need to have done. I could have just taken it on board, but there you go. And I'm missing a string, and I've got to replace this. But anyway, cut long story short, this is for me. This is my P90 because this is an original one, and the reason I love this one is because Les Paul, in his first ever custom prototype for Gibson, I think it was like a Black Beauty he was playing. He had one of these in the neck, one of these things here, and in the bridge I think, but he put plastic covers over them so they looked like a P90, but they were in fact Diamonds with a P90 cover, and a lot of people don't know that. And so Les Paul favoured these, and I do. I love these Diamond Dynasonics. They're quite, to get an original one, they're pretty expensive now. I think they're going for like $500, so they're not cheap. But if you can get hold of one of these, especially this is an old Guild one, these are amazing. This is where it's at for me. So P90s are great. I like P90s. So let's finish on this guitar, because this is quite a cool guitar. This one here. This is a Telly, thin line. Have to put the paper in there to keep it in. Again, it's got one of these pickups, which I'm a big fan of, and I have to give a shout out to Blake Mills, because the genius of Blake Mills, he was the guy that kind of hipped everybody to these pickups, you know. Yes, Eric. That's a classic Bo Diddley clave, which is kind of like a rumba sort of clave thing. Okay, so yeah, where were we at? Bo Diddley beat, but not one of his. Started with New Orleans natives. Do you bring your guitars on board and in a seat next to you? Cool pickup. Right, okay, normally on a plane, when I'm doing a concert, I put all my pedals in a suitcase. This is basically what I do every time. And then I take the guitar on board with me and put it in the overhead hanger. And the way I put a guitar is, what you want to do, don't put it on your back. When you're walking through the gate, whenever you're walking through and you see airport personnel, don't put it on your back. Just keep it beside you, and put it in a soft case, and you hold it like you have it. If you have especially if you have a long coat, you can put the neck on your coat, and then you just looks like you're carrying a bag, and no one will ever stop you. If you put it on your back and make a big hoo-ha about that, you're carrying a guitar or a bass, they're going to ask you to put it in the hold, you know. So to get the guitar on board with you, then you just do what I said. And I've, touch wood, it's never failed. I've been on, many flights and with my guitar, hundreds probably, and you just use that method. It works every time, Okay, yeah, I'm going to do I will do a lot of, I'm going to do one video where I go through all my guitars, and that's going to come after Christmas. I'm waiting for one guitar to come from Japan. When that comes, I'm going to do a whole thing on my guitars. So thanks for reminding me, Ricardo. Hera Glob says, I was so disappointed that with last Blake Mills album, no guitar based. Actually, I thought it was pretty cool. He's obviously got a strategy. Blake Mills is, look at it from Blake Mills' point of view. He was a guy that was on the rise. I totally understand what's happened to Blake Mills. He's a guy that was on the rise, and he had a really strong sort of fan base. People were talking about Blake Mills. It was like a little buzzword. It was he had all the ingredients to suddenly break through. Eric Clapton was a massive fan. Eric Clapton was obsessed with him. And so he had all the, Don was working with him on production, and he had all that, weight, and then kind of and then nothing happened, because to make it nowadays is really really difficult, and to make it, he's got a choice. He can either slog it out on the circuit, but he's not really a showboat, and Blake Mills is not a showboater. It's not what he does. It's not what he's about. He sits down and sings songs. So he doesn't want to be in the guitar. Guitarist. He doesn't want to be known as a guitar player. Really, he wants to be known as a singer-songwriter. So in that field, you have to break through, like Neil Young, or as a singer-songwriter, or John Hyatt. You have to become a name. And I think he found out that it just didn't happen for him. And he wasn't prepared to go and tour. Because you're taking a chance. He had two things on the table: production, to produce, make loads of money producing famous artists like Alabama Shakes and John Legend, or go on the road and maybe not make any money, and it's a gamble that he's going to make it or not. So he was weighing those two things up. Should he take the money and become famous as a producer, or should he go on the road and become famous as Blake Mills, singer-songwriter, guitarist? And rightly so, he chose production, which was a really wise choice in my opinion. Because now he can always do that. That's his bread and butter. That's his career. And I'm sure he'll come now. He's probably got a little bit of money behind him now. He's probably bought his house, maybe a nice car, paid off the mortgage. Who knows? I don't know. His personal details, and it's his business. But he's probably got a bit of money behind him, and maybe next year we'll see him get out and do more gigs. And I think that's probably what he'll do. I don't know him, but I'm just guessing that. If you've got some capital behind you, then you can go and spend a year touring, and where you're not reliant on your gig money for paying the bills. So where are we? So that's it. Yeah, and as far as Blake Mills' last album, okay, so he's decided that he doesn't want to become famous as a singer-songwriter, guitar hero. So what's the best thing for him to do? Release something really weird and abstract. Because a lot of his heroes are people like maybe some avant-garde abstract artists, Bill Frisell. So maybe he wants to do something a bit abstract, a bit arty, make himself. It's building your persona. You become a bit of a quirky, weird. His last album was very strange. It's like when Neil Young released that synthesizer album, he got signed to some big label like Geffen or something, and then he went and did some crazy synth album. I think he got sued for it. But I think Blake Mills probably wanted to do something kind of quite artistic, and then after that he'll come with his, the next album's going to be the singer-songwriter guitar craziness. You're going to hear that next. I told you first, guys. I told you first. So here we go. Hera Glob says, I respect and understand what he has done, but on the other hand, those sounds, that kind of playing took a long time for a new release from him, and then not my cup of tea. Yeah, but so Glob, exactly as I said, he's doing it. It's a filler. It's something a bit avant-garde, a bit abstract, to puzzle the audience, to puzzle. He's creating the story. You think of his career. He wants to have that strange little album that he made. It's almost like Peter Green released that album, End of the Game, which was a solo album after Fleetwood Mac. And when I first heard that album, it was quite a rare album to get hold of. And I had it on cassette. I bought it on cassette. I had Zoot Money on the keyboards. And I got it, and I was so disappointed. I thought, what the hell is this? This is not music. This is it's just like a jam. Everyone's just high and jamming, and what is this, But looking back, it's kind of like a statement. The album's called End of the Game, and it's this kind of crazy music with a kind of sometimes an African jungle feel to it, but it kind of it makes sense that was his last statement, and he wanted to go out with that statement. Fair enough. Ricardo said Blake got an award for producing the Alabama Shakes album, which is a great debut album for them. Yeah, so he's getting, Blake Mills is the producer, the producer man, and he's doing very very well. So why does he want to go on the road and be, struggling when he's top of the game in the studio world? It's it's a no-brainer, really. You know, and if he goes on the road, he's going to miss out on the production work. So it's better that he stays in Los Angeles or wherever he lives and sticks doing that, you know. And but yeah, Blake Mills, a genius guitar player, and one of my favorite guitar solos. My favorite guitar solo from anybody of the last 2 years was a Blake Mills guitar solo, and I'm going to do a show. I'm going to do a little 5-minute show where we analyse that solo. I'm not going to tell you which one it is. You can guess, but there's an incredible guitar solo that he played. It was in the last 2 years. In fact, it was actually 2 years ago, January. And you're going to go and Google it, and you're going to find it. But it was the best solo I've heard. It's not like complicated, or it's an amazing statement that he made. Yeah, amazing. So let's do a show on that one guitar solo. Heroic Globe says Blake doesn't want to tour. He left doors because of that. Okay, there you go. Yeah, production work. You know, if you're a producer, you know, I know because I produced quite a few, 4 or 5 albums, not quite a few. I produced. I worked for a Dutch label, and I produced some Mississippi blues artists actually. And it's a lot of hard work. If you don't get support, if you're carrying the pressure of an album, if you're producing it, you carry all the pressure, and then the record company says, when is it finished? You know, it's up to you. You see that album from the inception till the end. You know, so it's a lot of you can't just go touring in the middle of an album. You have to finish that album. Everyone's waiting for you to finish the album. You know, and it's a hard gig to do. You know, but very rewarding. You know? So there we go. This is the Xmas guitar show. Thank you all for watching. If you've got any last questions, you can, you know, we could do 5-10 minutes more. But before we do go, guy, I want to tell you something, guys. Harmonic minor scale. Learn your harmonic minor scale. Why, you ask me? Why? Well, can get you some beautiful sounds. I can give you an example now. The obvious example, if I can get my guitars in tune, would be Django Reinhardt. So that's your basic shape of the and with that kind of gypsy jazz thing. But it's also, you know, it's used in lots of different types of music. It's used a lot in jazz, you know. So if you were kind of going to do, you can use it in that kind of context. But you know, it's if you were, say for example, you're doing an A minor blues. So, you know, a harmonic minor scale. Now, learn, this is the trick here, this is the trick, guys. Learn the 5th mode, okay? So the 5th mode of the harmonic minor scale is called the gypsy scale. So if we learn the gypsy scale in the key of A, okay, so this is called the Spanish gypsy scale. I'm going to play it to you now. I'll do that really slowly. This is 2 octaves. Okay, so that's the 5th mode of the harmonic minor scale, and this one I use a lot. This is used in Arabic music. You know, you can. So that's another really cool scale that I like to use a lot is the fifth mode, and it's also used in Cuban music. Okay, so and you can sort of harmonize it. And it's all, that's obviously D harmonic minor, but if you learn that position, which is the fifth mode from A, it's the same as playing a D harmonic minor scale. So D harmonic minor scale and A Spanish Gypsy scale, which is that the fifth mode, is the same scale basically. So that's it's a scale that I use quite a lot to get different sort of sounds out of. Not least just be, it's not something to be flashy or anything. It's just just to give me my solos a little bit of a different flavour. Just put a if you're playing a minor scale. Don't be afraid to play that major seven. And what's really good as well, I don't really hear a lot of players, enough players playing is the melodic minor scale. So again, playing an A minor. And it's really nice to hear that scale in terms of a minor scale rather than use it as a super Lockerian mode, in that kind of terms. But I like to hear like sort of just play that just over a little minor scale. So bring those two scales into your playing if you can. And melodic minor, melodic minor is so the A harmonic minors, A melodic minor scale. So the melodic minor scale and the harmonic minor scale, we can do a whole lesson in that. But that's your basic. Get the patterns, get using them. Don't worry about all the theory and all that sort of stuff. Worry about that later. But use them as a minor scale in your minor scale blues. That's a really good way to start off using them. Get different flavors. They're both different sort of vibes. Okay, J Tram. Happy Christmas to you too. And Sean says the chat and your playing has been awesome again. Cheers, everyone. Have a superb Christmas. You too, Sean. Lost Smoke says the solo Blake Mills on Mountain Stage unworthy. Thanks for the harmonic scale, minor scale lesson. Pleasure. No, it's not that one, but that's a great solo. But this one is incredible. We're gonna go into it, guys. Thanks a million for tuning in. I'm gonna see you in the next decade. I will see you in 2020. That's crazy, isn't it? We're gonna meet again in the next decade. Before then, I'm going to put a couple of shows up where it's not going to be this kind of thing. It's just going to be me doing some 2 guitar history shows, and I'm not going to tell you. One of them's a surprise, and one of them's not. I'm going to do a really the history show that I'm going to do for you, which is probably only going to get 1,000 views, but we're not doing it for that. We're just doing it because it's a nice kind of historical thing to have an archive of, is Matamp, because nobody knows much about this company. I have the book here. I've read the book, and I'm going to do a 10-minute history show on Matamp guitar amplifiers. Of course, Peter Green used them, and really interesting. A little sort of pretty unknown guitar amplifier maker here in the UK in the 60s. And quite possibly this was the amplifier that was on the famous song show we're going to do, and then we're going to do another show on a person. And I'm not going to tell you who that person is, but he's a very cool guy. So once again, guys, happy Christmas, happy New Year. I'm going to see you in the next decade. Don't forget to use your right hand. It's all about the right hand. If you meet anybody in guitar world, just say it's all about the right hand. You know, just practice that right hand. You know, bending in tune, and the right hand. Doesn't matter if you're playing Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Cooder, Hank Marvin, Clapton, George Benson, whatever you're playing. You know, it's all about the right hand. You know, obviously vice versa if you're left-handed, and bending in tune. Just remember those two things. Don't drink too much alcohol over Christmas. Don't drink and drive, and don't buy anybody a puppy for Christmas. Don't buy any dogs for anybody. It's not a good Christmas present. But other than that, guys, it's been wonderful. I love you all. God bless, and I'm going to see you in the new year. Take care, guys. All the best.